Welcome to Make It Make Sense with Monique Pressley. I'm your host, Monique Pressley, and so excited to be back with you once again, where we try to do exactly what the title says, make it make sense. All of the confusion, the complications, the areas that need clarity, where we may need some experts, and boy, do we have one for you today, but where we may need expertise in order to ensure that we've got the best information so that we can live not just surviving, but thriving lives. For those of you who don't know, this week is Black Maternal Health Week, where we focus on Black mamas. We love you, Black mamas. I love me. I'm a Black mama. And the health disparities, the proportional disparities in our community for Black mamas is something that we all need to be paying attention to and then doing something actively about. Who better to discuss it than frequent friend and visitor to the show, our resident expert on all things Black maternal health, obstetrician, gynecologist, former president of the National Medical Association. Help me welcome friend of the show, Dr. Rachel Villanueva.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you today?
I'm hanging. I'm hanging. It's a lot going on. As we were just talking about backstage, I had to take time out of all the other things that I had going yesterday to just read for filth the current Secretary of Health and Human Services because it's just unacceptable. You know, it's Black Maternal Health Week, but it's also Autism Awareness Inclusion Month, and to have somebody in charge of all of these medical agencies that are supposed to be believers in science, believers in medicine, supporters of medical community. And for him to say the things that he said about children on the autism spectrum, oh, hell no. No, Dr. Rachel.
No, it's shameful. And I think it just magnifies the misinformation that exists in our country. I think, especially since COVID, I think it's become exponentially worse. And really terrible to have the head of HHS spewing really just frankly debunked myths that we know are not true based in science. And I think that's the really important thing that you just said, is that we know these things are not true based in science and just based in everyday life and the life that you live and the life that your family lives. So I'm glad that you were able to lend your voice to that because it was so important.
Well, and it comes to another thing that you and I have talked about frequently, and we'll get to the topic at hand, but this is leading us there. I could tell from what he was saying, he didn't have any clue what it was like to be around children or adults in the autism community who are on the spectrum, because he never would have generalized in that way and said things like that about the outlook, the opportunities, the capabilities, the different abilities of children and adults who are on the spectrum. I mean, it was just pure ignorance. And one of the things you always talk about for Black women and for us really in receiving health services is we have to ensure that we are seen. Because if people aren't seeing us and they aren't listening to us, then they don't have a clue what our plight is.
Absolutely. I think it's crucial that we take whatever platforms we have. Your platform is so impactful for our community and just for the community at large, just to make sure that we continue to report factual information, things that are based in science, things that we know are truths, not just his thoughts or what he, assumes because he doesn't have any contact maybe with someone who is on the spectrum. I think it's just really shameful that he uses his platform, his really huge platform in our country to not to uplift different communities and support differences between people. I think it just means that we really have a lot of work to do over these next few years to make sure that society in general understands facts, science, the data, what's really true, and not just those kind of little sound bites that go out from people that are not knowing the facts.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of facts, I don't know if you had anything better to report this year than you have for the past 3 years. I couldn't believe I was
Yeah.
looking back, and it seems like it was 2022 when we did our first Black maternal health check-in, and you've been on for other things. But this week is devoted to Black mamas, and there's a reason for that. And I know that you'll say not just for Black mamas, but for all mamas, women in this country, that our numbers are not good comparatively to other countries in the world. But why don't we just start from scratch and you tell us where we are?
So unfortunately, we know that the United States has worse maternal health outcomes than any other industrialized nation in the world. So we're on par with some of the developing nations as far as our maternal mortality rates. And even though there has been over the past year, the recent CDC data was that was a decline overall in maternal mortality rates. That was not the case for non-Hispanic Black women. And so I think we really have to look at the facts that things are getting not exponentially better, right? They just did not worsen, but for Black women, they continue to worsen. And so we're looking at about 50 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births. And I think
Wait,
I think the last.
say that again. Say that again, Dr.
I know we can't just go over the numbers quickly. It's 50 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births. And I think that when we look at what happens to Black women, we just can't stop. We can't stop these discussions. We can't stop discussing the disproportionate disparities that exist in our community as opposed to other communities. And I think we have to also remember that education does not help your numbers or help your risk numbers. Your socioeconomic status does not improve your risk. So for Black women, whether you're educated, whether you have the money to go to the best hospitals and have the best obstetrician and have the, all of the things in your nursery that are the high end, everything, you're still at a higher risk of dying just from being pregnant. And I think when we think about that,
why is that the case?
Well, we have, that's going to be like three of these sessions. But I think the first thing we need to just recognize, and even though I think our government is trying to kind of whitewash literally our history and what's happened to us, there is systemic racism that exists in our country, and particularly in our healthcare system. And that's longstanding. That's really the reason why my organization, the National Medical Association, was founded 1895, because Black physicians could not practice and could not take care of Black patients. So they founded the AMA would not let Black physicians be part of their organization. And that's where physicians got their credentialing and got education. So Black physicians were not allowed to do that. So Black physicians did what we always do. We formed our own organization, right, to take care of Black patients, because Black patients were getting substandard care in healthcare system. And actually that still exists today. And so I think we really do need to recognize that there are biases that exist in our healthcare system. We know they should not, but people come to you as a doctor, as anyone, nurse taking care of you, with implicit biases. And we do need to address these. We can't just say that health equity doesn't matter anymore. It still does matter, whether the government wants to think it does or not. We know the data, as we're talking about research and data, the data exists. We've been studying this for a very long time, that just because of your ethnic background, your color, your socioeconomic status, you will get poorer health, you will get poorer access to health, you will get poor quality care and poor interactions with your healthcare provider just for those things. So we can't think that these things have not changed. They have actually not gotten better, and our numbers support that. I think COVID was a very stark reminder of that as well.
So, in addition to access to health care and the manner in which Black women are not listened to when they're making complaints and trying to express their concerns to people in the medical community, what comorbidities, if any, or medical conditions are disproportionately affecting our community that are also affecting our numbers on the maternal side?
I think for Black individuals and Black women, we're at higher risk for everything. So our numbers are, we have more chronic diseases, we have more risk of high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity. All of these things factor in greatly to whether a pregnancy is going to be healthy or not. I think even where we live, our communities, our access to good quality foods in our communities is also contributed to our comorbidities and to the increased risk of maternal mortality. Even just like power plants or toxic waste, and we know that they tend to put those things in our communities and not in other communities. All those things factor into our ability to live healthy lives in general. And if you're not healthy, you certainly are going to not have a healthy pregnancy.
Yeah, and we've seen recently the government under this new administration is walking away from EPA settlements and DHS settlements that were meant to correct for years of pollution and environmental concerns that were causing death in communities in Louisiana and elsewhere. And now they're trying to undo those things. So, what are we supposed to be doing about this? Because when I talk to people about it and when I listen to experts like you, it feels frankly like we're sitting ducks because it affects everybody. We've talked about Serena Williams sharing her story of things that she went through as one of the most well-known and one of the wealthier women in the entire planet. And still not being listened to about symptoms she was having in pregnancy. And then we see the effect in poor communities. So like, what should we be doing for ourselves? And then is there a call to action in terms of advocacy?
I think that's a great question, because it really, and it's perfect for Black Maternal Health Week, because it's a week where it's really not the focus on the numbers and how bad it is, even though we know that's the case. It's really uplifting, amplifying Black-led organizations that are working to reverse the tide. And I think that's where we really need to put our energy and our efforts in whatever way we can do that. I think probably the most important thing is if you're not registered to vote, is to vote. Get registered and vote, because it is all of the things that we can do to support our communities and improve health have a lot to do with whether the government will support these things and put dollars behind them. We know that for Medicaid expansion that has occurred across the country, I think about 41 states have had supported Medicaid expansion for maternal health, in that they cover postpartum care for a full year after a birthing person delivers, which makes a huge difference. It used to only be 60 days. And we know that a majority of these maternal deaths are happening in the postpartum period. So it's crucial.
Right, thank you. I'm going to interrupt and say thank you, Vice President Kamala Harris, the Black woman that people didn't think needed to be president, for fighting and traveling all across the country to advocate for the Medicaid expansion so that it could save our lives. Just thinking about, what people do for Black people. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
You started. But yes, I mean, it doesn't seem like it seems like something negligible, but having that access to care means that they have resources, they can go and get help. majority of the deaths that are occurring are occurring because of mental health disorders, death by suicide. These are, and when we think about them, 80% of these deaths are preventable. So if we can put resources to knowledge, to access, so that families, not only the birthing person, but families can recognize what is an emergency? What should I be bringing my loved one to the hospital for? Is it just a regular headache, or could she have preeclampsia and that could put her at risk for death? Is the bleeding too much, or is this a hemorrhage and also be putting her at risk? So really just the whole community rallying around Black mamas and birthing people, so that we all understand our role. And it can be a financial role. It could be supporting advocacy groups. It could be just working with them, making posters when they're advocating for something. It could be just spreading the word in your own community. But I think it really is important for us to understand it's our whole community that has to rally around Black birthing people to save us, because we know ain't nobody else saving us right now. I mean, that's just the case. I mean, when we think about all of the diversity initiatives that are being, that have been literally canceled, these things have significantly impacted Black maternal health just in general. Over the past year. So we really need to rally around ourselves to make sure that we keep each other healthy. So I think, platforms like this, making sure people are educated, making sure people understand that any single person this could happen to anybody. It's not just the other person.
It's not just the other person. And that is so true in every area. Like everything that I think people were thinking in voting or in choosing to speak out, if they can other it, then they put it out of their minds. But it's at your door. Like it's at your door more than you would think. And I did want to share that there is at blackmaternalhealthweek.com. It's blkmaternalhealthweek.com has some great information. The Black Mamas Matter Alliance is who actually started the Black Maternal Health Week and have been supporting this effort. And if you go to their page, guys, then they actually have a toolkit there that you can download or you can go directly to it at blackmamasmatter.org, and it's got some great information about ways that you can be informed, ways that you can get involved. It shares critical health facts from the CDC regarding cancer, fibroids, sickle cell, maternal health, and it's got the links in there for the information. So I would just urge everybody who can, information about prenatal care, breastfeeding, like lots of different information, including reproductive rights and justice advocacy. So I would urge anybody who can to check out that information and to share it and to follow experts like our guest today. Please tell everyone where we can find you, because I know you got to get back to actually being a doctor. You're not just one on TV.
No, not just one on TV. I practice in Manhattan. And so you can find me here. And my Instagram is at Dr. Rachel Says. Dr. Rachel Says. I was gonna say, at Dr.
And I think, and we have it at the bottom of the screen. So guys, look at that there. You can find her there. And if you need an excellent doctor, you just need to be in touch with somebody who's putting out right information. That's what we do here. Thank you, Dr. Rachel. I appreciate you. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Okay. We matter, guys. We matter, not just in Black Maternal Health Week, not just when it's Autism Awareness Month, but all the time and the steps that we are taking here in order to provide you the information you need, in order to give you the experts you need to hear from. I am praying that you will not just listen to it, burp, and move on, but that you will share it with someone else. Support by sharing, support by using your own platform in order to give this information to others. And if you are watching right now, if you have a phone, you got an iPad, you got a computer, that means you have a platform on Beyonce's internet. You can use it for good, not just for swiping left and right and up and down and being a voyeur, but you can use it as a form of resistance, as a form of advocacy, as a form of being involved by sharing information that matters, and then sharing your group chat, share in your family community at home, share in your town, do all of the things that you can in order to say to yourself and to someone else that we matter. That's all we have for today. I hope we have helped you make it make sense. Please subscribe to the Monique Pressley channel. Please like this video. We want the algo to be our friend so that we can gain in more and more support. Listen, there's all kind of things you could be watching out there, and especially in a time like this when we seem to be under attack every single day, there are lots of things that we could be talking about, but we don't. Here, I'm trying to talk to you about things that matter for us, that are actionable, that are not just the complain lane, that are not just gripes, that are not just going back and forth, fussing about things, but instead are things that we actually need to know and then can do something about. That's my commitment to you here at Make It Make Sense. And I will see you again tomorrow, where our show will be devoted to autism awareness, inclusion, acceptance, and devoted to what we can do for the autism community in the throes of an administration that's trying to gut the Department of Education. Our super lawyer, Ariva Martin, ESQ, will be here with us to talk about the work of her foundation and to talk about her own advocacy and the things that she and I even have done together and will continue to do in this lane and in other lanes as we all try to survive, child, but not just survive, thrive. Until next time, stay safe out there.